you sync up that with the thing. Anyway, this will be a great start. Okay, so how do we start? We still haven't figured out how we're starting this.
Hey everybody!
No, that's mine.
Damn. Welcome to the show.
Oh, and already we've got cellular interruption.
It's my sister. She'll be off work soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go right. Let's do that again. From right there.
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome to
Four Finger Podcast
with Chuckles and Babs.
So is it four finger? Or is it the four finger?
It's just four finger, no the, no
okay.
the required.
Let's do it together. Let's do that one more time
okay.
for the people. This is our first attempt at a video podcast, so let's try it.
Okay.
Hey.
Welcome to Four Finger Podcast with Chuckles and Babs.
Awesome.
Nailed it.
Okay, so you guys know the drill from the first video. We have 10 topics, and we're gonna roll some dice and figure out which topic we start with. We've got a few.
We've got some great and exciting topics today.
I think so. Okay, so we're going to roll the dice on my phone since we couldn't find any actual deck of dice.
That's a 10-sided dice.
For those of you that don't know. All right, here we go. Are we ready to roll?
Ready to roll.
Okay, here it is. Topic number 8.
Wasps.
Oh,
the giant flesh-eating wasps.
The flesh-melting hornets in Japan, in the forests and the mountainy forests of Japan.
Hornets is so much easier to say than wasps.
Wasps. Yeah, wasps. To get that H in there.
Hornets.
All right.
Anyways, they were in Japan.
Do you still have that article? So the reason why we're talking about this is because last time we did the podcast, we did a segment called "Shit That Can Kill You," and we talked about the tarantula hawks. Do you remember that? Like the blue wasps that are
the hellnose.
The hellnose
that live in hell.
And so I wanted to keep talking about things that could potentially kill you as a recurring topic, and so that's what this is.
So these are the hornets from hell.
The hornets from hell.
They offer a real-life fright. I'm reading this off Google. A small but highly efficient killing machine, a hornet 2 inches long and with a wingspan up to 3 inches, lurks in the mountains of Japan. The voracious predator has a 1/4-inch stinger that pumps out a dose of venom with an enzyme so strong it can dissolve human tissue.
So I'm just pulling up a picture, and this shit is the stuff of nightmares. Like, when you just Google it, one of the first things that comes up is a guy literally holding it by, like, the back of its neck. Like it's a little dog or rat or something.
Oh, here's a picture of it eating meat.
You said you can put some of these pictures up, like, while we're just looking at our phones.
Yeah.
Since it's a video thing.
We're gonna do that.
It's gonna be great.
It's just gonna be a picture of the Pokemon.
Is it a Pokemon? Is this a Pokemon from hell?
There's
Jesus
a wasp.
Christ! This thing looks like. I mean, you know how sometimes when a bug bites you, you just get like a bump. This looks like when it actually bites you, you would get like a bite mark.
Oh my god!
From its teeth.
Look at it. Did you see these teeth?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
That's the one I was like. This one. This is the "Don't fuck with me" picture.
Yeah, don't fuck with that. Holy shit! Could you imagine killing one of these and just being like stomping around victoriously, like, oh, I killed one?
I was just thinking, I bet the honey badger actually does give a shit about this.
This guy has it on his nose. Here, look, it's as big as his nose.
Oh, man, that guy's got a nice nose too.
Oh. Oh my.
All right. So that's the shit that can kill you for this week is the Japanese hornets. So let's roll for another topic here.
Okay. Sorry, I'm so caught up in these pictures.
Man, doing this on video adds a whole new element of dumb that I wasn't prepared for. Here we go.
Okay.
9.
9. Finger picking good.
picking good. Okay, so the reason why this podcast is called Four Finger Podcast. Go ahead and show the people at home.
The people. So we're gonna tell you a little bit about the four fingers today.
So Brittany only has
Four and a half.
4.5 fingers on her left hand.
Right hand.
Her right. No, it looks like left on there.
Right.
You know what I'm realizing is that we're backlit. We need to get lights in front of us for the next video. That's okay. It's a learning process.
So and I was drawn to classical guitar, finger picking style on the guitar. I'm right hand dominant, so I lose this finger, and I have
to slow down. So, what drew you to classical style guitar?
It's not so much that I'm crazy about the music. I just love using all my fingers.
I just turned my mic on for the first time.
Damn it, Charlie.
That's okay. It's still good. It's still good. We can see. I'm used to the ones like you have that don't have an on switch.
So, welcome to the show.
It'll be fine. You won't be able to hear the suck coming out of my mouth for the first minute or two of the show. Okay. Terribly sorry.
No, you're fine. That was hilarious.
All right.
Okay, so finger picking good. So it wasn't so much that I was crazy about classical music, but I do like all kinds of music. But I just love the feel of the strings. I love synchronizing my fingers. I think, figuring out how to pick, it's like putting a puzzle together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where you place your fingers on the fretboard.
Right.
There's the same note in like 5 different places.
Mm-hmm.
4 maybe. I don't know. But, it's kind of like a puzzle with your right hand too. And when you nail it, it's really gratifying.
Right. So you weren't necessarily looking to play classical music, but you just liked the puzzle putting togetheriness of playing finger picking style guitar.
Yeah.
And were you when you were coming up with the puzzle pieces,
mm-hmm.
Were you trying to get regular chords, or were you going for irregular shapes, or just pleasing sounds, or what was
a little bit of all of that, actually. Like trying to think of an example. Let's say you have an E minor, right?
Okay.
And you've got that high E, right? So you can play the open string, or you can play fifth fret on the B string. And maybe you get a richer tone if you played the fifth fret, right? But let's say you're coming from the G, and instead of playing 2 open strings, which have a very zingy sound, you decide to place your fingers there. Then you pick which fingers to strum with. Do you want to use the thumb, or do you want to roll it, or, pull it? And there's different ways to pull the strings, too. Like, you can kind of almost slap it. Yeah, you can push through the string. You can pluck the string, so you get all these different sounds. That I always just really enjoy playing with.
So let's say you start on, like, if you're sitting down to compose or whatever.
Dissect a piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say you start on an E minor, would you think to go to something already related, like a chord that's in the scale of E minor, or would you think to go to a regular chord that's out of the scale of E minor, or would you start looking for a new shape that just sounds pleasing?
If I were composing? Yeah. Just sounds pleasing. Sometimes I know what note I want to use. I just have to pick where on the fretboard I want to play it, and then how I'm going to, what's the easiest, what's the smoothest transition. And something else, you need to consider is how long are you going to hang on to your last note?
Right.
Yeah. And then how can you keep that note ringing while you place your other finger?
Yeah, that's something that's always fascinated me about classical style or finger picking is, like on the piano, you just hit the sustain pedal. You kind of do that trick where you hit the sustain pedal and then lay off it so the note that you just hit is still ringing out while you can continue playing. On guitar, you really have to put the puzzle together so that you can so that you can get those ringing tones and still play underneath it or over the top of it.
Now, I do. I want to mention when I compose, I don't put. Very rarely do I put theory into it. Like, do I consider the key? I usually do what sounds good, and if I get stuck, like if I need a chord to go to, then I consider, oh, well, what chords are available within this key, and then go from there. But usually composing is very, very whimsical process for me.
Gotcha. So you don't, or have you ever said, I'm going to write something in E minor, or is that?
No, I've never said that.
See, I've talked about this before, but I'm going through this process right now where I'm trying to write. I need an alphabet's worth of instrumentals and vocal songs, and while I'm doing that, I'm checking to see that I don't use the same key too many times. And I feel like once I finally have that complete in some fashion or another, I feel like then my brain will allow me to compose from nothing anymore.
Oh, there you go.
Or and not just like major, minor, diminished things like that. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I need an atonal piece, like a piece that, or like, a piece that's just a melody without chords, that's played by two instruments, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Anywho, but that's cool that you're not bound to the alphabet.
Yeah, I try to keep a good balance of, I don't know. I just go with it. There's really no method to my madness. I don't know what I'm talking about when I say balance, but
do you find that not having a method, do you wait around for inspiration a lot?
Generally, yeah.
See, I think the alphabet thing for me keeps me going. Like, oh, I have to write a song, and when I say alphabet, I'm talking about the titles of because obviously there's only 12 keys, or
Yeah.
But yeah, so it makes me think like, oh, I have to write an instrumental song that starts with Z, and so I'm constantly like thinking about the title, about if it's going to be an instrumental, which those are the instrumental ones as far as the titles are easier because you can kind of enforce your will on you can enforce your reaction to a certain set of sounds by what the title is. Like if somebody hands you something and it says hey, check out this song, it's called Redneck Aliens on Mars.
Oh, I can hear it, actually.
But so somebody hands you something like that, and it's just like a gorgeous, like, weeping piece. It's already affected by the image of redneck aliens on Mars, and so your brain is gonna try and mush the feeling that you get from like lilting, lush, stringy music with this mental image that you've already got in your head. Or you might just be like, oh, that doesn't sound like that at all. That's a bad title. Like, I know that there's people like that who, like, literally are like, that's a shitty title. People who would literally say to the artist, like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Why did you do that? That's a horrific thought to me.
Oh, really? Somebody being like, that doesn't make sense?
Yeah, well, I guess if say Picasso is just standing there, and somebody walks up to Picasso and says, "Oh my gosh, Picasso, I love your work, but why did you title this that? That doesn't make any sense at all."
Right.
It's almost like he titled it because he's the creator.
Right. He's God of this picture.
Basically.
A song I always thought was very, very appropriately titled. Is it "The Baby Elephant Walk"?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it sounds like a baby elephant walking.
Mm-hmm.
Put that out there.
Well, what I'm thinking, and I love the fact that you'll know what I'm talking about. Some of that electroacoustic or music that you learn about in college.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Are you serious?
No. That's all I did.
Well,
with
yeah.
electric acoustic
Mhm.
extended technique.
Right, but
Free
so
improv.
if somebody hands you a piece of music that sounds like electroacoustic or music concrete, and to people who don't know what that means, it basically means that it sounds like junk.
It's really hard for the non-musician to appreciate, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and that could come off as sounding douchey, but I don't. It's just
It's acquired for sure.
it's just very like Robert Fripp from King Crimson. He had Fripptronics, and that was his sort of like tape delay experimentation and stuff like that.
Nice.
And it's just a total like it's almost like the chemistry the music equivalent to like chemistry or something like that. Like a little bit of this, and a little bit of this, and what's going to come of it? um, so if somebody hands you a piece of electroacoustic music and and says this is called
Solar flare.
I was just gonna say my mother just died and I'm really really sad or something like
Oh,
that, but it sounds
well,
like whoop, you know,
yeah,
and it's got the kind of typical electroacoustic thing going on. Then the title becomes kind of important. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Well, and I mean, it makes me think of John Cage. Remember learning about John Cage in high school?
Oh yeah.
You probably knew about him before that, but I learned about him in our music theory class and how he was dropping the water,
Mm.
you know, and
Or rubbing the cactus with the Q-tip.
ooh.
Oh, just have an AMSR.
Almost, almost. Yeah. So, anyways, but you know, you do put that inflection in in your sound,
Mhm.
whether you mean to or not. Once you have a title,
Mhm.
and a title is like a story. A title is like a poem, you
Mhm.
know.
Well, it's almost like in Romeo and Juliet when she says, "What's in a name? Would a rose by any other name smell just as sweet?" You know, that kind of begs that question. Like, especially since John Cage was so much about he was more interested in the doing of the music than the end result.
Hmm.
Obviously, he wrote some classical, classic, not classical pieces like the prepared piano suites.
Is he prepared the piano,
Yeah,
and then
but I mean that's like you can sit down and play that. You
yeah,
know what I mean? But other than that, there's some pieces where the way it sounds, the end result is not was not the intent of the song. It was the action of making the song is what's getting titled. If you know what I mean.
right.
Um, and I don't know if
I understand what you mean. It's the first time I've understood it that way, and my mind's just a little blown. Like,
well, I just remember watching a documentary about him, and he hired a filmmaker, and you can see a lot of their interactions are just not. I mean, I don't think they're ever rude to each other, but John Cage, like he'll say, "So what do you want in this shot?" And John Cage is almost like a few words shy of like, "Oh, I don't care." No, I mean he cares very deeply, but he's caring about the fact that there's a chance.
mhm,
You know what I mean? It's sort of like set it up here, don't look at it, and we'll see what it looks like later. That kind of thing.
right.
But I think he was filming like a chess game or something like that, and I'll have to watch it again because it was so long ago. But I think like only like a quarter or a half of the chessboard got filmed or something like that, and that was like the piece.
Oh,
Like I remember one time when I was, I dip in and out of this stuff, and Jake Loggins, who's a blues musician in town, had hired me to play bass for one of his shows, and I was just in one of those weird phases where I was listening to a lot of like weird music, concrete, and, Edgar Varese and stuff like that. And he said, "What's the first?" We were outside, and he said, "What's the first song you want to play?" And I said, let's fill up. Let's go to the rooftop and fill up a filing cabinet with marbles and shove it off."
nice.
As the first song. As
I love it.
well, he just kind of gave me this weird look, and and I think that's one of the reasons why I've remained like, you know, when he was in town, I was on the bottom list of his bass player call book.
Oh, some people just don't get it.
No, I don't think it was a not getting kind of thing, but I think it was just sort of like he knew that some of the less like outsidey kind of guys would just like, you know, make the money and do what he needed them to do.
Yeah.
Versus I might be, like I remember one time we were playing a really quiet situation, and I leaned over to him and I said, "Jake, check this out." And I played I just played a wrong note, and he goes, "I don't get it." And I was like, "Here, listen again." And I played it again. He goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "It's a wrong note. Don't you get it?"
That's awesome.
So you were into classical style, composing and performing, and then you were also into flooring.
Yeah, one fateful afternoon. No, it was morning. It was like 11 in the morning, September 12th.
So how did you get into? Tell me how you got in the position to be in the position to only have 4.5 fingers.
You cut it off.
I know, but let's milk it a little bit. Let's make a podcast out of it.
Like,
so how did you get into flooring?
Oh, how did I get on a fluke? I was in banking, banking. Sometimes I say that it sounds like baking. Baking, like baking bread.
Baking.
But I'm in banking.
Banking.
Banking. I hated it. Banking is a bunch of stressed out fucking women that just throwing each other under the bus. And I had some really good coworkers that I loved. We had such a great time. But, you know, you just get one bad bitch in the crowd and everyone's fucked, you know?
Right.
So, anyways, my mom was getting her floors done. And because she had an accident, the ice maker on the back of the refrigerator, like #1 customer bringer to flooring is, oh my god, the ice maker.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyways, check that out if you haven't. Make sure that's good to go or you need a new floor. But anyways.
Barbara the flooring and DNA lady, everybody.
You're welcome. So my mom was getting a new floor, and the dude was hiring for inventory. And I had experience with inventory. So yeah, he hired me on more there doing inventory and sales than I was making at the bank. Anyways, so I ended up in flooring, and he really pushed me for sales. And then I found out that I loved it, and so started doing that, and just got more and more involved in flooring. And like, I mean, there are so many different technologies. The floor is ever evolving. You know, like people are people are rolling out new technologies like almost every month. You know, like on how to live on your floor and it keep up. I mean, you walk on your floor everywhere you go. I mean, there's always a fucking floor, you know. You know what I'm saying.
I do.
And so it has to be durable. Some people want it soft. Some people, like, I call it cuddle carpet, you know. But they want it durable. So, I mean, there are tons of technologies that go into flooring. They're just fascinating and, like, UV cured because the sun is always shining into our homes. If you don't UV cure your floor, then it will sun fade. It will light fade.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So odds are this floor is UV cured because, I mean, I don't see any. Yeah. So anyways, I just kind of fell for the industry and the design aspect. People come in and be like, hey, help me design my shower. And that was just right up my alley. And it's really cool designing it and then seeing it, like knowing that I design the showers. So anyways, I do carpet, tile, hardwood, and I love it. And I lost my finger, that one, the middle bird on the right finger, on a job site.
September 12th,
2017, maybe 11. God, it was devastating. I just kind of stood there and
Did you
just
just say 2017, maybe 11?
no, maybe 11, 11 in the morning.
It's like, what are you, Jesus? There's just like a huge chunk of your life missing. You had to figure your finger out.
So I had to heal, and now I'm relearning how to finger pick guitar, which brings us to our segment, Finger Picking Good. I get to update you on how the picking's going. It's going.
How's the picking going?
The picking's going.
So what are you working on right now?
So you have different exercises where you've seen the graphs where it's PIMA.
Yep.
Right. And you do PI, PM, PA, you know. So I don't have an I anymore. So I'm just doing different patterns, PM, PA, PM, PA, you know, inside, outside, middle, inside, you know, just switching it up, trying to get that pinky disciplined, and working on putting the root and the fifth in the thumb.
Do you ever try those exercises all on one note or all on one open string?
No.
That is a good dexterous exercise.
Yeah. Just on one.
It'll make you like curl. It'll make you sort of like work on your tight space, like when you have to curl in like that.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Anywho, good job on getting back into it, and I think that's really brave. A lesser person would have just quit music altogether.
I don't think I could quit.
That's like, when I say it's brave, I mean that's like for real brave. It's not like transgender brave.
Well, it was scary, you know, like losing a piece of you to begin with,
Right.
you know. Can we skip straight to the reaction?
Oh yeah, I forgot that was part of a different segment. Okay, so this is going to be my reaction since we're doing a video. This is the first video podcast that I've ever done, so I figured we should take advantage of it.
So I'm going to show Charlie, excuse me, a picture of my finger cut off, like within hours. This is the first time I've seen it.
I can feel my stomach like getting butterflies already, like weird, not like lovey-dovey butterflies.
God. I can't, like, I have come so far.
All right, let's see.
Right.
Am I good in frame? All right, let me pull the mic away so that people can see my face.
Oh.
Hand it to me like this. Holy shit!
You can see, like, in my finger.
Oh, whoa!
And do you see? Okay, do you see on the side there? That.
You're gonna put a picture of this up, right?
That's skin.
I figured.
It cut at an angle
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it like grabbed your finger a little bit and pulled. Oh. Is that important? Do we need to pause? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was okay. I will say that is definitely not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
What? Are you kidding me? Look, do you see like that flap there?
Yeah.
That's like, it came in at an angle. Oh my
so
God.
what were you doing?
A floor just like this. It was laminate, and we had just gotten a new.
Just the red dot, like from this far away.
Damn, dude. And we had just gotten a new blade on, and it was cutting really well. It was cutting like butter.
Cutting like fingers.
Right. And so it's called a push stick. And for some reason, I decided not to use a push stick. I was gonna go make my cut. And there was a little piece of wood, like, right next to the saw, and I was just like, meh. You know, I've done it 1,000 times before. Just, meh. And it cut my fucking finger off. I just, like, stood there in disbelief. It was the stupidest fucking decision of my life, honestly. Like,
oh, my God. So you didn't even, like, feed it in? You just were going to, like, flick some wood? Oh.
Thank God it was a new blade.
Yeah. See, that makes me have more of a reaction than actually seeing the picture.
Want to know something fucked up?
Yep.
We found the finger behind where I was standing.
So it
must have like flown
flied
over my head. Oh God. And you know what's crazy is I didn't fucking cry until they told me they couldn't reattach it.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh. But
that's crazy.
that's my story. That's my accident. Do not put your finger anywhere you wouldn't put your dick. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not next to a saw. Your finger is not a push stick. So, that happened, and I'm relearning a bunch of shit, actually. Like, your strength is in your, you get your strength from your middle finger, your pinky, and your thumb, like when you grip something.
Mm-hmm.
And so, my grip's different. Doorknobs give me hell sometimes.
Oh.
Oh my God. Well, I just fuck around.
Just like pawn. Like,
you gotta use the left hand.
Yeah.
I'm using the left hand a lot more for shit.
Does it? Is that affecting your brain? You think?
Yeah.
I mean, like from a purely like you know how a lot of the Japanese manga is from right to left instead of left to right.
Right.
I read
Left. Nothing.
I read an article that that was saying if you read one of those like in preparation for something academic, then the left side of your brain is stimulated because you're used to reading from left to right all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and the left side is like numbers and logic and stuff like that.
You know, screwed up is there's some guitar parts that I cannot fucking remember in my left hand because it's not synced up with my right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's only a handful of songs, but like I want to find where I put my hands before, but because I don't have them working together, it's like I can't remember.
Right.
That blew my mind when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So do you ever feel? I know you and I have talked about this, but we haven't talked about it on the podcast. But do you ever feel your phantom middle finger?
Yeah.
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 When does that happen?
It's not happening so much anymore. It happened a lot in the beginning, and it feels like someone's just squeezing your nail. Like, and it's kind of painful.
The nail that doesn't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like if I touch the side of my finger, like I feel it up here where it doesn't.
Oh.
Like I don't have finger there anymore, but that's where I feel it. It's weird.
I had a friend who had a dog who had 3 legs due to an accident, and because it wasn't born that way, it still felt like it had 4 legs, and every once in a while it would scratch its ear with its with its hump.
Sometimes I go to pluck the string with my middle finger.
Oh.
Like nothing happens. So.
All right, you ready to roll on?
Or there was one more picture.
Oh, okay.
It is.
Dogs are getting jealous. We got jealous dogs on the podcast. Not Bernie.
It's
Bernie's
the
too
stitches.
Cool.
It's the stitched up finger.
Okay.
You ready?
Saki it to me, baby.
Oh, it's terrible. I made a meme out of it.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh! That looks angry.
Oh, it was not happy.
You got to put these pictures up, like when I see him, so that people know that I'm not a monster.
I like to say my dick transplant went terribly wrong.
Yeah, is that what the meme said?
Yeah, that's what the meme says. Because it looks like a fucking dick. I was so pissed.
Oh, jeez. Oh, it accidentally zoomed in.
Enjoy the view.
Yeah, the blood coming out of the stitches, it looks, I mean, I know this is going to sound weird, but it looks like some kind of like bad raspberry frosting kind of job. Here, look at that.
Yeah. Yummy.
Yummy.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, and check out this, dude. So, that's this finger.
Yeah.
Like, that had to recover. It wasn't just that finger. It was, and then, anyways, that's that. Like, that's this finger. No, I showed you. I'm getting my fingers confused.
Zappa, go lay down. Go lay down.
Man. Yeah, I'm not going to do that again. That was awful.
All right, let's roll for a
Okay.
new topic. Ready?
Ready?
10, but that was just what we did, right?
No, 10 is Girl Scout cookies.
It's Girl Scout season.
Those poor child labor little girls. Say something witty.
Okay, when I think Girl Scout season, I think of a bunch of Girl Scouts running through the woods going, no, please, no. A bunch of guys with arrows.
What the fuck? Did you see this in a movie as a child or something?
No, honestly, the only on-screen Girl Scout violence I've ever seen is in the movie Airplane, when he's telling the story of how he met his wife or his girlfriend or whatever. Remember when he talks about developing the drinking problem?
Oh, yeah.
But before that, he's talking about how he met his wife in a bar, and she's got that red dress or whatever, and he's got the white naval uniform or Air Force uniform.
Okay.
And so he goes, it's a real, we were in a real rough place, and you see these two Girl Scouts just like beating each other up.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, Girl Scout cookies. I love the Thin Mints.
Thin Mints are the classic. My favorite are Do-si-dos. For my money, that's the best milk dunking cookie.
Do-si-do.
Let's see, Thin Mints, you have to bite first and then dunk it in so that it gets...
I have no problem biting into a Thin Mint.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's...
You say it like it's a bad thing.
It's a two-dunk process versus just like, you know, versus just like the pull it out, dunk, and eat it somehow all in one motion, like...
I will dunk the shit out of a Thin Mint.
But what I'm saying is you have to pull it out, bite it, dunk it, so that it gets... The milk
Right,
gets up
so it
in
gets
it,
absorbed.
up in there.
I prefer to shove a sleeve in my mouth and chase it with milk.
It's just like tilt your head up like this and do like a Pez dispenser thing.
I just popped those bad boys in there.
So last night, it was really bizarre at the thing that didn't happen last night.
It was pretty bizarre.
Sorry,
babe.
You know, these two Girl Scouts and their parents came in, and I saw them immediately, and I like made a beeline, and I was like, "Oh, you guys got those do-si-do?" You know, like
Johnson.
you guys got those do-si-dos?
You don't got any more of those dos-dos?
That's dos-dos. And so I went over, I bought my do-si-dos, and I put them on the stage, and then I went out to the car to get something else, and then when I was walking back to the bar, they were in the process of already fucking off. I was like, I literally wanted to be like, wait, I was thinking about buying another box.
Don't leave.
Don't
me.
leave. Don't say those. Don't see those. You don't see those very often.
Oh.
But it's fine because my nieces are Girl Scouts, so I got the hookup.
You got the hookup. You got your dealers. Your local.
Well, it's funny, like when that time of year rolls around, my sister always jumps on the phone and is like, "Yeah," you know, she's like, "Hey, I know you guys be liking them Girl Scout cookies. You know what I'm saying, man?"
Right.
She's like the sugar pusher, man.
So it's out there slinging cookies. It's the low point of my life.
So fun. That'd be a funny scene in a movie, like people talking about the gang banging cookie slinging 80s in the Bronx. Cookies was everywhere, man. You know what I'm saying, man. And you know when you had bad cookie. Let me tell you, you had a bad cookie when
back when cookies had gluten in them.
Real good
the
stuff.
The real shit, yeah.
Okay, so what's your least favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Man, that shortbread one can get a little dry. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the one that's like just a cookie.
Right. The cookie.
I was gonna say either Samoas or the lemon ones.
Oh fuck! You know what? This whole time you're talking about Do-si-dos, I totally had a mental image of Samoas.
Those guys over there.
Bring that box here.
We can do this shit because it's a video pod. People can see me limping.
Oh. Yeah, I totally had the wrong cookie in mind. I like Samoas. Fuck this shit.
No, dude, those are the best milk Dunkin' cookies ever. But what I was leading up to is so after I got home last night, I kind of was like pissed off at the shit that happened. Sorry, everybody, we're not going to go into it, but I was pissed off about some shit, and I was literally ready to like.
I took him out to dinner and put food on his fingers.
No, that's not what I was talking about.
I just thought I'd fill this space. He was pissed, anyways.
So yeah, we after the shit that didn't happen, Barbara was gonna cheer me up by taking me out to Applebee's, and we got some appetizers. And can I tell what happened when we got to the Applebee's?
Oh yeah.
So we get in there, and Barbara's just she had a little bit to drink at the bar we were at before, and so she was just not being belligerent or anything, just being lively. And she announces to the lady seating us that she's drunk. She goes, "I'm sorry, I'm drunk." And so when she goes to order a beer, the lady goes, "I'm so sorry, I can't serve you right now."
Oh yeah, that's all right. I had an iced tea, a non-sweet iced tea.
That's my drink. That's
his poison.
That's my poison of choice.
Yeah, I just said I'll take one of those, and actually, I'll do it again. That was really good. I've been missing out. Yeah.
Tea? Oh, I love it.
It might be better than sweetened.
I think so. Yes.
Maybe with some lemon in there next time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite things is some places, if you keep ordering iced teas, they give you a new lemon every time, and you keep like mashing it up with your straw, and so like at the end of the meal, you have just like this really tart, but you've been sort of like getting acclimated to it throughout the course of the meal, and so you've got this like tart, like 20% tea, 80% like crushed lemon bits.
Ooh.
And I'd imagine it's pretty good for you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Most of the time, lemon is. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think all the time lemon is.
But yeah, I love unsweetened iced tea. That's my jam. And it's so funny when I go to like a fast food restaurant and it's late enough at night and you can tell that they haven't fucked with the tea all day. And I remember one time I was in the fast food lane, and I was like, "And can I get an unsweetened iced tea to drink?" And the guy said, "Unsweetened iced tea?" And I was like, "Yes, please." And he goes, "Let me check." And so you can hear the exasperation in his voice. And I look forward and I see the guy come to the window with the unsweetened iced tea thing, dump it out.
Oh, damn.
And then he like goes back in and said that'll be about like 5 minutes on some tea.
Well, you got some good tea.
Right, it was fresh.
Anyways, I interrupted you. You were saying last night when you got home with cookies and you pissed off.
I was getting ready to soak up my BS tears on some do-si-dos. And Dan was here playing video games, and I felt. Sorry, got a Michael Hawkins on the phone. We just got to turn these off when turn it to airplane mode or whatever.
For sure.
Next time, we're learning, and so Dan was sitting right where you are playing video games, and I come home and I was like, "Check out who's got the do-si-dos." And then he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll definitely try out some of those." And so I pulled out a sleeve, and I could literally kind of out of the corner of my eye see how fast I was putting these motherfuckers away. And at one point, I think he realized that he had to like literally say something to get one, because he goes, "Hey, do you mind if I have one of those?"
It's really hunched over in the corner. No. Don't look at me.
Lay off me, I'm starving. So he says, "Can I have one of those?" And I pulled one out and handed it to him. And I was just in like I was in the
Jesus Christ.
I tried to redeem myself later, so I pulled out one and handed it to him. and he
You
bites.
rationed.
He goes, "Oh, it's so good." I don't know how he did it without milk, and so I'm just dunking and eating and like barely chewing these guys. And he says, "Hey, do you mind if I have another one?" And I had realized at this point that I was kind of being a fucking glutton, and so I there was like I think there were like 5 or 4 left in the roll in the new roll that I had started, and so he said, "Do you mind if I have another one?" And so I just handed it to him. And then he took one and handed it back. And then I was like, "Do you want any more?" And he said, "No, I'm good." And I made some acknowledging comment about how it's just on. Like I'm not even thinking about anything. It's like I'm in like Girl Scout world. Wait, that doesn't sound good. I'm in Do-si-do world.
There you go.
Peanut butter. Like slides made out of peanut butter and rivers of milk,
Not a Girl Scout to be seen in this fantasy.
No.
I'm kidding.
Unless they're made out of peanut butter and I can like eat their arm. No!
So last night I did the most unintentional evil thing ever, and I put the dessert came. It was a lava cake.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Well, we're splitting this sugary fucking death cake.
It was great.
It was really good.
It had ice cream.
There was a scoop of ice cream, and it was like one of those molten kind of like you cut
Bud
into
cake.
it, and yeah, you cut into it, and the lava like falls out, and we cut into it at the same time.
So I distracted Charlie by throwing chocolate on his fingers.
She was hating on my 10-fingered ass.
You have no idea what it's like to be a minority.
So no, we were both kind of going at this cake a little bit, and rather than just being like, "This is so good, we should probably order a second one so that we can both like get the amount that we want." Barbara just like takes chocolate and puts it on my fingers. Like I said, she'd been drinking. And so at first I'm like, "Oh, haha," and I kind of like meticulously get it all off my fingers. So there's like nothing left on my fingers, and I kind of had hoped that the way in which I got every little bit off my fingers, used ice from my glass to get it off, and wiped it all down, did this shit, that she would realize that I might have a little bit of an issue with sticky fucking shit on my fingers.
And I did.
But whoa, over here decides that it was so funny the first time that she's gonna do it again, and I literally had like a little bit of a temper reaction. Like I'm not that guy.
I had dinner and a show. It was amazing.
I'm not that guy, but she put that shit on my fingers, and I was about like I didn't want chocolate anymore. I just wanted to get
you turn to me and you're like, "I feel like this is a trick so you can eat all the cake," and I was like,
It is.
I'm smart.
Well, that was when you did it the first time. I was like, I realized that the trick, and then the second time you did it, I was like, "Don't!" And I like got like legit frustrated, like a 5-year-old.
I saw that. I'm not sorry.
Next time that happens, I'm just gonna like I'm gonna shove the food on the floor and walk out of the restaurant. And so you'll have to explain what happened.
I put chocolate on his fingers.
And hopefully, if they have any sense of human decency, they'll look at you and be like, "Why would you do that?" rather than the logical response of, "And he shoved everything on the ground because of that."
Oh God, I love making a scene. Anyways, I'll be giggling about that till next time.
Dude, when that lady came, our server was really great. I felt like she wasn't a jerk about telling you that she couldn't serve you. Like I felt like that was done as human as possible.
She did a great job. I wasn't upset.
Right.
I was a little like, really? But not with her.
Right. No. I think she did a great job doing her job, except for the fact that it's got one of those stupid little like video game pay things.
Did I tip her?
I hope so. Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I know I paid. I'm just not sure if I left her a tip. And
oh, dude.
that is a consequence of making me pay on device.
Yeah, if you didn't tip her, we should go in there and give her $5 because we were loud and obnoxious. But
By we.
Well, I was with you.
Well.
So I thought she did everything great except for when she was like, "Oh, do you want to order dessert?" and then just sort of like tapped it out on there and was like, "And when you're ready to pay, just go ahead and use that." Mm-hmm. I just wanted to look at her and be like, "I don't fucking work at Applebee's."
Dude, I am like respect to waitresses. I was a terrible, terrible waitress.
I was always back of house. I was either bussing, cooking, or washing dishes, and I always felt like I would have made a great server. Like I could come out there and be like, "Hey, finger gun, finger gun, finger gun." It's like when I know that my job is to interact with people on a very shallow, superficial level, I feel like I could do that. I feel like I could be like, "Hey, we've got some shrimp shooters."
And maybe that's why I was bad waitress, is because I couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be like, "Hey, oh my god, thank you for being here."
You wanted to like actually make a connection with these people?
No, I just wanted to get them their food.
So yeah.
So I could get tipped.
Well, that's a good form of serving too. Like if somebody isn't charming or particularly witty, but they're like I feel like that's just as tippable as somebody who's like from Office Space.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you two, get a room.
So we went. I told you about this. It's worth revisiting. We went to a McDonald's, and the guy who took my order over the intercom was obviously the guy who took my money. And you know, right?
Yeah, totally.
So I've encountered this guy at the intercom, and then at the cash register. You know, drive-through. Then I get to the window to pick my food, and he's there too. And was so fucking happy about it.
Scooby and Shaggy over here. That's like, he wasn't the first person to do this, but this is for some reason, this is the file my brain selected. DJ Cuber did a fun thing when he was staying at like a nice hotel in Japan, or I think it was either Japan or the UK, or he was touring internationally. Mm-hmm. In one of his stops, they put him up in a really, really nice big hotel room, and so he did a kind of like a mock cribs sort of thing.
Oh, fun!
And so somebody he opens the door and he goes, "Hey, DJ Cuber here. Just wanted to show you guys this really cool hotel that we got." So you walk in here, and basically what the gag is that there is a doorway into each room. Uh-huh. And so every room that he went into, the same person was like in the room. Nice. So he'd be like, so this is the TV room. You know, we come in here and relax after we've been scratching all day and stuff. And somebody would be like, "Hey, Q, what's up?" And he's like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" So he's like, "All right, so now we're going to go over to the..." And then he'd go into the kitchen and the guy would be like, "Hey, Q, what's up?"
That's really clever.
Yeah, so I always thought that'd be fun to do if we ever got the opportunity to film something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like, got to make a mental note, because everybody who has recommended movies to me has recommended Birdman.
Oh, yes, I saw Birdman.
And I guess, was it you telling me? Maybe it was you or Dan, but a lot of that is like one shot. Like a lot of the movie is one shot.
Yeah, they do a great job. I mean, you literally just follow him down a hall. He takes a left. It cuts to someone else. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was well done.
I can't remember who was talking about it, but on one of the podcasts, they were like, yeah, I had to wait in the corner for like 15 minutes. And then when I heard them coming my way, I had to like be ready to perfectly deliver my line. And if I fucked up enough, because like I guess they left in a few scuffs here and there, But they said he said if I fucked up enough, they would have to restart. And I guess they only had to do that like 3 times throughout the course of the movie because everybody was just so had all their shit together and they were ready to go and stuff.
I like that movie so much. I did not return it to Netflix, or no, not Netflix. Redbox.
Redbox.
I was like,
you're like this is worth.
Find my ass.
So I love going to Entertain Mart, which for the folks at home who don't know, Entertain Mart is a giant used, like it's a used Walmart. It's an expanded Walmart electronics section, but it's used stuff and comic books and books and all that stuff. So we were in Entertain Mart, and I bought Frank for Christmas the Wii Sports thing so that he could do the bowling like in Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah.
And
another great movie.
The one that I bought him because I thought it was so funny came in a red box thing. Like the people at Entertain Mart literally put like a price tag sticker over the top of the red box thing, and I just thought that was so like. I feel like that's something you would buy off of a cart in Mexico, like
right,
like
or someone in a parking lot somewhere.
Right, totally. And so I thought that was so charming. Like this one time, do you remember that video game exchange place that used to be right next to the Black Sheep?
Oh yeah, with the big old Mario in front.
Yeah, and
yeah. He's not there anymore.
He's not there anymore. I loved that store because they were more than reasonably priced, and the guy in there was an absolute grump. Like he was a grump, but he wasn't a shitty person because you asked him a question, he gave you an answer with no like fat on it.
Mm-hmm.
He was Nintendo certified, like he was an actual Nintendo mechanic. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So he could actually like he could fix your stuff with the Nintendo sign off because of his you know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't know that about him.
Yeah, and so I loved going in there because he was just no nonsense. And I remember one time I was doing the, like I was getting ready to check out a game, and I was doing all the like, like wiping it off with my shirt and stuff. And I go to like put it in and like gently like push it down so that it like hooked in there. And he goes, I don't know why people are so gentle with these damn things. And he like grabs it from me and goes. And he like slams it like with his fist and paw, right. down into the machine. And since then, I started doing it like I don't do it as voraciously as he did it. But now whenever I go to play the Super, and I put a game in there, kind of like it starts up, like it's got a more successful startup rate.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Interesting.
Yeah.
There should be more Nintendo certified people. Mm-hmm. There should be more Nintendos.
Yeah, have you seen those things? I can't remember. I think they're called like Retrocade or something like that. And
where it's like
Sega, original Nintendo, and Super Nintendo.
I have seen those.
I want to get one of those. And I remember I was talking with somebody at, it was either Entertain Mart or this place that didn't make it called Vigigames, but I liked that place a lot too. But they, I said, should I get one of these? And they're like, yeah, the only downside is they don't use the original sound cards that are in the old systems.
Original sound cards.
So, when you put a game in, like the sounds aren't on the game. The sound, like the game tells the machine what sounds to me.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
It's like early,
you could be Nintendo certified.
No, I think it's like early MIDI technology where it's like all the information is on the cartridge, and you put it in, and the game is what makes it go.
Okay.
Which is why games can come on discs now because it's just information. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I think it kind of died down, but for a while there was like a surge in popularity of like Game Boy DJs. Like you would buy this cartridge that somebody learned how to make called a nano loop. And so what it is you would put this thing in your Game Boy, and it was like a sampler on your Game Boy, but it used the internal sounds of the Game Boy to get those 6 and 8-bit crunches.
Uh-huh.
And so people would be up there like rocking out, and it would be like a performance. What it would be like somebody was either showcasing music they had pre-recorded, or they would be improvising Game Boy music on the spot.
That's awesome.
Isn't it? It's called chiptune music, and I kind of cheat. Like I make it with a sampler and Ableton and stuff like that when I do make that kind of stuff. But I think a new chiptune album for me is on the horizon. Me and Animus put one out like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was just all programmed video game sounding chiptune music.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Sounds fascinating.
One thing that's gotten popular is people will upload videos of like 8-bit O-fied versions of popular songs.
Oh, really?
Like you can listen to, Kind of Blue by Miles Davis.
I'm trying to think.
That's the jazz record that people that don't like jazz have. And
Okay.
they're like, oh, I'm cultured. I've got Kind of Blue by Miles Davis.
Okay.
It's like, I think it's like the highest selling jazz record of all time or something like that. Which I don't understand why people just stopped there and didn't, listen to more of his catalog. But anyway, so
but I digress.
you can like type in Miles Davis Kind of Blue 8-bit, and so somebody like took the time to like program in like all the trumpets and stuff like that to 8-bit. Like when we did the Sgt. Pepper's Halloween show, Dan and I were just putting in all the different versions of Sgt. Pepper's because we were talking about it, and if you only memorize something, especially music, if you only memorize one recording or performance, then you're not really learning like the soul of the song. So like if you listen to Sgt. Pepper's done by the Beatles, or you listen to it done by the Easy Star All Stars, and it's all like dubby and reggae, the essence of a song will be what sticks versus like the drum beat, the bass line, all that stuff.
I hear you.
And so one of the ones that I checked out was the 8-bit version of Sgt. Pepper's, and that was really fun to listen to.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, 8-bit music. That wasn't even a topic. Spin some more yarn.
You want to roll for another topic?
Let's do that with my new phone. Got a new phone. No more excuses to not be in touch with everybody. All right, here we go. 5.
I put down other people's playlists.
Go.
Okay, so sometimes people are like, "Hey, you want to listen to some music?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do." And they put on their playlist, and it sucks, or it's fucking awesome. And you feel like you know the person better. Like, and I had that experience at work yesterday. This gal I work with, she put on her playlist, and it was like fucking on fire, dude. I loved it. It was like a little bit of everything. Yeah.
So when you listen to a playlist, like when people are showing you their playlist, where
by playlist, maybe I should say like they pull out their device and they put it on shuffle.
So, okay, so they're either using when they do that, they're either using iTunes or like Spotify or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or I mean,
or the
yours
music
would
they
be
purchased.
Yeah. Since yours is a Android, right?
Yeah.
That would be like what, Google Meet or Microsoft Music or something like that.
It's so good. Play music.
Play music. Okay. Yeah, but so when you're talking about playlists, you're just talking about any digital collection of random songs, or not random, but like different artists' songs.
Right. Like I feel like if I put my music in my phone on shuffle.
Keep talking. I'm gonna go pee.
Okay. So, anyways, she had the perfect combination of like 90s and dubstep, and he left. So, let's look at some memes. Some women just have fuck me eyes. Do you have fuck me eyes? No, you have give us the ring, my precious eyes. Oh God, I wish Anna had done that. So, anyways, yeah, I felt like I bonded with this person by listening to her music. Nothing sucks worse though than getting locked in somebody's car with a dumbass playlist. Do you concur?
Last thing I heard was a good combination of 90s and dubstep.
So, oh yeah, what else did she have on there? Oh, the yeah, yeah, yeahs. I mean, just like all of these soul-touching bands. Anyways.
No, a good playlist can definitely assert a kind of mood that wasn't previously there in the room. Like I remember one time we were playing at the Speed Trap, and between sets, this lady was just playing some really, really great like swinging hip hop, like the J Dilla, Knowledge, Madlib, all those kinds of MF Doom, that kind of stuff, and it was making me not want to play. Like it was so like relaxing. I told her, I was like, oh, you can't put this kind of music on when we play. It just makes me want to like sit here and go like this.
Have you ever been stuck in the passenger seat of a car with no control over the music?
Yep.
And it sucks, and your friend's driving like an asshole, and they really want you to do the fucking music, and you're just not into it.
I've been that asshole.
Oh, no. Dude, rap. Fucking when I have to listen to fucking shitty-ass rap, dude, in the passenger seat. Oh, my God.
Well, especially when there's so much good rap.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you and I were listening to King Ghidorah the other day.
King Ghidorah, yeah.
And that's good rapping, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think of that Slum Village in the truck right now? The kind of round R&B kind of sounding.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
I didn't feel trapped in the car.
Right.
You know, when the bad music's playing, I feel fucking trapped.
Yeah.
But it was good. I mean,
yeah, to me that sound, like whenever I hear that sort of like Slum Village roots, J Dilla, Tribe Called Quest, just like the really like mellow, like has a hint of R&B to it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that sounds like what I consider, like my brain files that away as grown folks hip hop.
I hear ya.
Mature,
developed.
Sure,
something outside of the.
I mean, that's not
charts.
Not to say that like I don't like Snoop Dogg or here's a perfect example. I think that Eminem is one of the greatest rappers of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he should be in your top 5 when it comes to skill, but the music he puts out is, at least the stuff that I've heard, is kind of aimed at the adolescent. Like the vibe is very like young, you know. And when I in the truck right now, everybody, I've got Slum Village Fantastic Volume 2, which if you're not familiar, you should definitely go check that out. It's awesome. But when I hear shit like that, I feel like we should have like 3 cameras, just like so that I can do the like. But yeah, that kind of like really vibey, just mellow, big on the bass, heavy on swing emphasis. That stuff sounds like grown folks hip hop.
I feel ya.
Mm-hmm.
What time are we at?
Oh, let me check.
We still have quite a few topics covered.
Oh, let's just go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't look at what time we started, but let's just go through it and see where we end up.
Okay. I really struggled to podcast with you in the bathroom.
Oh, the
I kept talking. I don't know if it was good, but I kept talking.
the first 4 episodes of my solo podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They're I guess now the one that I do with guests.
Mm-hmm.
As because you've been on there as a guest, which is why we decided to do this shit.
You're welcome.
The first 4 were just me. It was excruciating, but
look at where you are now. I think you could do it by yourself. It'd be good.
I enjoyed it enough that I kept, like, it felt good. Like, while I was doing it, it felt like I was struggling through something that I just wasn't very good at, and it was kind of embarrassing. Um,
I call that life.
but once I was done with it, I always felt this sort of sense of like euphoria.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Almost like, do you know? You're going off the rails.
Like a drop the mic kind of feeling.
Not really a drop the mic. Here, let me
That's
explain.
how I feel. Go for it.
Let me explain to you what I'm talking about here. So, do you know what cranial sacrum? Sacrum? Yeah, I should look that up before I start talking
I don't know,
about
but it sounds exotic.
It's not exotic, but so basically what it is, cranial sacrum work is when somebody like gently and slowly like adjusts the plates in your head.
That sounds exotic.
Well, you know how your skull is not completely solid. There's plates.
Yeah.
So basically, what the idea of this is, and I guess I've chosen to believe it because I'm a master of my own placebos.
I gotta wonder if Charlie Brown would have been a little bit happier if they figured that lump out.
Yeah. Oh, rats! So I was getting some cranial sacrum work done, and they were, moving that stuff around. And one thing that made me a believer is they had this little pen that had a crystal on top of it, and they would touch it to a part of my head, and they would push a little bit, and it was like red hot, like really really painful, like a sharp, like felt like they stuck something into my skull pain.
Really?
And then they were like, but here's the good part, they went over the same spot, and it was gone.
Huh.
So whether it was the crystal or the pressure, probably the pressure, it seemed to do something.
I think they had two different sticks.
Like a pokey one in the round.
Right? They'd be like, does that hurt? Okay, how about now?
No.
It's working.
See,
No,
these were family friends, so I kind of believed what they were saying more readily than I would if somebody kind of just was trying to show me what it is, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense.
So
I just figured I could con a bunch of people. I just figured out a whole business model just now on how to make money with cranial crap.
cranial crap.
Yeah.
So at the end of the session, they said your energy should be flowing a little bit more normally now, but your throat is still very blocked. And so since then, I've always, because I was choosing to believe these people, because why would they lie to me?
Right.
I was sort of fixated on the fact that my throat was blocked energetically. So like speaking, and whenever I got sick, it would happen like in my throat and stuff like that. And so since podcasting and being a little bit more liberal with telling people to go fuck themselves, I've found that I've not gotten sick nearly as much, and I just feel like I said, I feel like a sense of euphoria whenever I'm done podcasting. Like whenever I get done
Like you
talking.
unblocked it?
Yeah, like I kind of just like my throat took a shit.
Yum.
And
I
and
can
I'm
taste that.
like on South Park. Sharon.
Yep.
But yeah, and so I just figured since it feels so good, I should subject all our friends and family to me talking.
Why not?
Yeah.
You know what I realized the other day? Like you heard, I think you got in the first episode, I work at a call center. People literally wait in line to talk to me. I know, right? That occurred to me. It made taking the next phone call a little easier. I was like, this person deserves my attention.
That's great. So are you still enjoying that sensation, or is that kind of faded?
Oh God, I don't know. I fucking don't know. It's
Well,
alright.
You must like it enough, or at least be intrigued by the action enough to call your solo podcast. Thank you for calling.
I am intrigued. It is. You know what? You're right. It is like an exercise. It's
Mhm.
like this is painful. I'm gonna get through it, and then you look back on the experience. You're like, I I got an email the other day. I was in correspondence with a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and she is just bitching at me about blah, 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 blah. And so, my last and final email was like, I have nothing more I can tell her other than thank you for your feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel you have a valid point. I'm going to escalate it to the right team.
Right.
And I mean it sincerely. And this woman texts me or emails me back. She was like, nice one, Barbara. Might as well have told me I don't care. And I was like, that's exactly what I told you. Oh, no. Like, it's so weird caring about a customer and not caring all at the same time.
One piece of advice that I was given when dealing with customers that are unruly is that you focus on the problem, not the customer.
Yeah, you gotta get good at that in the call center. I did tell a woman the other day to calm down. Did I tell you this?
Oh shit, you mansplained.
I fucking, like, she was freaking out on the phone, and I was like, okay, you're gonna have to calm down. You're getting escalated, I'm getting escalated, we're going nowhere, alright? And she'd be like, okay. And then she'd get all escalated again. I said, you're gonna have to calm down. So my boss calls me aside, and she's like, Brittany. Oh, Barbara. She says, you cannot tell customers to calm down. And I was like, but it worked. And it did.
Right on.
So anyways, should we roll for another topic?
Yeah, so when's your first solo podcast coming out?
Soon.
Soon.
Coming soon.
Is it gonna
2018.
Is it going to be a video or is it going to be audio?
Audio. I think it kind of captures the spirit of thank you for calling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you going to have, I know this might be too much of a cutesy alliteration, or not an alliteration specifically, but I think you'll know what I mean when I say it. Here goes.
Bring it on.
Are you going to have callers, even though that's not the point of your show? Are you going to take calls?
I've thought about this, and I think for now I'm just going to start off by talking with other call center representatives, like, recording just like this until maybe, I don't know. And if we have to do it over the phone, that's absolute option.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the idea of, sounding like a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't know. That's still up in the air.
Yeah.
It can go either way. I don't know.
I'm learning so much from all this.
Because from
podcasting and all that.
I'm wondering, if you have two different mics and you just put an effect on the mic.
Sure, you can do that.
Yeah, like a phone call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could do that. So I started, the thing that got me the courage to start doing a solo podcast was Bill Burr does his all by himself. And it's just him sitting there. And I just was kind of like, okay, well,
I failed miserably while you went to the bathroom. I was like, maybe I should do a podcast.
I did. Well, the first one I ever did, I think I made it to like 53 minutes or something like that. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I think the last like 20 minutes is me like watching YouTube and like not even like putting another mic up to the laptop to like so that people can hear it.
All people hear is Mervin, and then you.
Yeah. So yeah, I just started watching YouTube for my podcast. Like I remembered, I used to do notes when it was solo. Like I would write out all my notes that I was going to talk about so that I didn't
skip a beat.
Yeah, like that. And I remember my first set of notes. I've got them saved somewhere. It says Batman, music, books, Magic the Gathering, and I was like, I've got this for an hour. And I got like I whipped through all that stuff in like 15 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But so yeah, I didn't even know that podcasts, like I didn't know that you need like an RSS, you need like a host site, or, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get it all on iTunes and how to generate an RSS and stuff like that. And maybe that's some research that we can do after this because you're smarter than I am.
That's true.
That's why I said
okay,
that.
no,
You didn't
kidding.
have to be a cunt.
If cunt is an option, I'm taking it, okay?
Always.
Always.
Or Batman. Always be Batman.
Cunt.
That's cunt.
Oh. The visuals.
I bet it looks a lot like those
It's just
hats.
legs, it's just big black legs.
See, I kept imagining the hats, the pink hats that the women's marchers wear.
Oh.
Because it's supposed to look like a pussy, right?
I don't know. I didn't follow.
They're pink pussy hats, and these like grown women wear these pink pussy hats to walk around protesting whatever they're protesting.
Why didn't I hear about this? Why didn't I know about? I want a pink pussy hat.
I bet there's like, you know what? I bet the same people who make the red "Make America Great" hats and the people who make the pink pussy hats are the same people, and they're just sitting back like, yes.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
It's not really a political movement. It's just hats.
You know what? I mean, that was sort of just a fun little aside, but I mean that what I just said could be blogged and cooked up to sound like a conspiracy theory. And you know what kind of irritates me, Barbara, in this country right now? You know what really grinds my gears, Barbara? The fact that people just dismiss conspiracy theory, like no conspiracy theory has ever been proven to be true. They have. But like whenever people are like, oh, they're just another conspiracy theorist, it's like, you mean somebody who's like actively using their brain and doing independent research to try and come up with a different conclusion than what the masses are being spoon-fed by the media, both conservative and liberal?
Conspiracy theories are like religion. They get manipulated, you know? And
Sure.
there's always that person who takes it way too far. Like, Illuminatis, I've made my peace. Mm-hmm. They may or may not exist, but shape-shifting lizards, please. I don't know. That seems a little too far. I'm open.
Just you wait until the shape-shifting lizard people decide to make their run for the
I would love to meet them. If somebody came to me and they're like, I am a shape-shifting lizard, I'm here to prove you wrong, I'd be like, dude, let's sit down, let's talk this out. Shift. Like
shift.
But you know, people being like, oh my god, here's footage of it, you know. I don't want to blindly believe something that's wrong.
Well, yeah, you don't want to blindly believe anything. But
like I entertain the idea, but I don't want to like.
Yeah, no, I don't think you should just accept something just because it's labeled as a conspiracy theory. Mm-hmm. But if somebody presents something that even like tickles my brain a little bit, I'm gonna look at it. You know what I mean? I'll tickle your brain. Yeah. Are you a sexy conspiracy theorist?
Oh my god! You know everything revolves around sex.
Just whisper. I hate the government.
Yeah. ASRM. Was it ARSM?
We'll have to look that up. That's some other shit that we can put up on YouTube. There's literally like blonde bitches on YouTube reading stories.
Nice.
No, there's like Zappa. Go lay down. So there's literally like pretty looking women up on YouTube that are like, I'm here to read you a story and hopefully you'll get some AMSR responses. And it's like hundreds of thousands of views and all these thirsty ass men in the comments like, oh, put me right to sleep. I love your videos.
Oh, wow. You know, dude, if you got it, rock it, man.
Right.
You know.
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man.
Burning out his fuse out here alone. You know those are the words? You know why I knew that was
I almost broke character.
The only reason I knew that is because of that brilliant William Shatner performance. And have you seen that?
Yes.
And did you
Rocket Man?
And the thing that makes that even contextually more delicious is that he was the host of that show.
Mm-hmm.
It was some sort of sci-fi awards show, which is like, why isn't that still a thing?
They don't still do that?
Well, no, I was watching some kind of documentary.
It was like on the Sci-Fi Channel, right?
I don't know if the Sci-Fi Channel existed back. It might have, but I was watching something about the Academy Awards. Or no, it was either the Academy Awards or the MTV Movie Awards, and they talk about a time when award shows were just like trending.
Uh-huh.
So there was like the Blockbuster Awards, and there were just all these kinds of awards. But oh shit, what did I lost it.
Rocket Man and the lyrics.
So thank you. So William Shatner was the host of this thing, and he was just like, I've got to. What are you writing over there? I think you're sexy too, baby.
What are you talking about?
No, I will not make out with you. I'm trying to listen to Chlorophyll Man up here. I'm trying to learn, everybody, not make out with you.
What are you talking about? Okay.
So William Shatner was the host of this show, and at some point he was like, I need to perform Rocket Man because it's getting an award this evening. Like, that was just the sort of like, everybody's got to like pretend like they're meek now.
Uh-huh.
Back then you could kind of like, throw your celebrity around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could just imagine, Bill Shatner like smoking a cigarette backstage and just like looking at the set and being like, I'm not getting enough time as the host. I need to do a musical number.
I'm a Rocket Man.
I'm a Rocket Man. And it wasn't just that they cleared some space for him to do the piece. They also had to film, because remember, like there's like a 3-part thing towards the end where it's like his giant head, and then the kooky version of Bill Shatner, and then the live one sitting there. So they actually had to film 2 other shots of William Shatner doing Rocket Man, and then somebody had to like edit it on the fly while he was performing it.
Wow.
I like to think about all that stuff. Do you know that I read an article, somebody was bitching about Justin Timberlake at the Super Bowl, which I think he did a fucking phenomenal job. He turned the city of Minneapolis purple for Prince.
Yeah.
You were there, I started crying.
He did, and then I tugged on his beard, and then...
And I said, get the fuck off me, bitch.
That's pretty much what happened.
I love you, baby. So I thought Justin Timberlake crushed it, but apparently a lot of people felt the need to go to Facebook. It's the people who...
I just want to be like, suck my dick.
Yeah, the people who don't have valid comments are usually about the halftime show are either people who don't ever watch football or people who don't ever watch or listen to music.
You've got a point.
And so there's musician-y types of people that are like, oh, the spectacle of the Super Bowl, blah, 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 this and that. And then you've got non-football types. What up, Dan? We're doing it on video. Come shake your dreads off.
I have a sinus infection.
Oh, why?
I get them a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be in bed most today.
Sorry to hear that.
I'm sorry, man, that sucks.
I know, it's okay. They last like 2 weeks.
Damn.
That's not okay.
No,
This
it's
is
not.
not...
I've been getting it my whole life. I'm used to it.
Ugh. I feel like I've had one bad sinus infection once, and it was like,
I've had a couple doozies.
yeah, it's the worst.
It is bad.
So sorry you're going through that, Dan.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What? Oh, she's fine. I fed her. Yep, no problem. Yeah, I remember. You got to see me without my shirt for the first time last night.
Now you walked around without your shirt a couple times.
I must have been sleepwalking. So
Not hard to believe.
Dan has a video of me sleep eating. I still haven't seen it, but he took video of me eating in my sleep.
Really? Really?
Right up eating.
What do you eat?
What was it? Nachos?
Tortilla chips.
Not tortilla chip nachos.
Just tortilla chips?
Yeah, he had fallen asleep with them on his lap. And then he was asleep. He woke, well, he didn't wake up. He started eating. I'm like, hey, Charlie, you're awake.
Yeah.
I wasn't awake at all. No amount of talking. And after you finished one, you went right back to sleep.
And apparently on a separate, I think that's the one that he has filmed, but on two separate occasions, I've eaten a little bit of a double quarter pounder and an eclair while asleep.
Wow.
And I know that he's not lying because I've literally woken up with like unchewed food in my mouth.
Evidence.
Like, oh, I fall asleep out here a lot, like, you know, watching old Cheers episodes or something like that. And there's been times when I wake up and I
Of
sort of...
course you eat in your sleep. You're the most interesting person I know. Of course you eat in your sleep.
But so a lot of times my nightly routine, I'm trying to get better with like napping so that I'm on the everyman schedule and stuff.
Yeah, that would segue into your morning routine perfectly. But let's talk about your nightly routine.
So I mean, this is the nightly routine I'm trying to break right now, but I've been sort of comfortably in it for a long time. Is I'm out here watching something and I pass out, and then when I naturally wake up, I have to like hurry to bed while I still have like the sleep momentum. And so yeah, that's what are you doing?
Sorry.
What did? I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
No, I'm totally kidding.
What are you doing?
What are you doing over there? Okay, so the segue that you just brought up is now trashed. So my morning routine is...
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. My morning routine is, now that I've got it all set up... Oh, Dan's arm's on the podcast.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, that was a good... So the morning routine, I get up at 7. I take an hour to shit, feed the dogs, and I drink 3 drinks in the morning. I drink 25 ounces of water. I drink a lean shake, banana protein shake kind of thing. That's like a meal replacement. You can buy it at GNC. And I drink a full cup of coffee, like quickly. You know, I don't nurse it. Like I put it down.
Yeah.
And recently I've been adding stoke, or you call it stock, to the banana shake to give myself a little
For you
boost.
people who do not know what stock is, or stoke as you call it, it's just caffeine, just like concentrated caffeine in what, like little half and half thing would come in.
It looks like a creamer.
Yeah,
like,
but it's death and a little cap.
well, maybe not so much anymore because I decided to sorry, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Hang on.
Okay.
So let me set this up. The Circle K down the street has them just for free, and it's literally like free caffeine. And so Dan, never wanted to turn down a deal, started, you know, like taking these by like the pawful, and he made friends with the clerk there, and the guy was like, no, take more. So now we literally have like
They're stocked on stock.
we're stoked up.
They're so stoked for stoke.
So we have a bag, like a giant bag of stock or stoke or whatever you want to call it, in the kitchen, and yeah, I've just been adding that in the morning. And so Brittany tried my my banana shake and said it was good, and so I told her I would make one for her, and I added a stock to it because when we first got all this stock,
convinced it's not good for me.
right. When we first got all this stuff, actually, when I first had it, I thought that I had some kind of quick, hard thing too. But after doing research, it's literally just espresso. Like, it's just espresso with some kind of preservative that like allows it to exist like that without molding or going bad. And so after I Dan did some research and told me I wasn't sure, and then I did some research, and then after I did the research, I stopped having the problem.
It was all in your head?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're trying to prove to me that it was all in my head because you snuck it in my fucking drink.
I poisoned Barbara. I dumped some of this stock into the banana shake, and she drank it down, didn't even taste it.
Were you like sitting there watching me drink it like, oh my god?
No,
she's
because
drinking it.
because I was convinced that it wasn't, that you weren't gonna even realize that anything was different. You know what might have helped is that we drank our shakes. You drank all that water.
Yeah.
You drank all that water, and then we also went on a walk, and so it probably like had places to go. You know what I mean?
It had things to do.
Like no, like we gave it water to like absorb it and dilute it in our stomach, and then it like we gave it an exercise so that it got in and out of the bloodstream versus just sort of like. Have you ever had well, at the call center, do you drink coffee?
Yeah.
Do you notice that sitting there you get like kind of antsy? Well, not maybe antsy, but you just get a little like you just got like excess wiggly.
Dude, okay, my job, I like read, talk, and type all at the same time. So I have outlets.
Okay.
Like it's ridiculous how many things I do at once.
Okay, well let me rephrase. Have you ever been sitting somewhere not doing much, drank coffee, and got the jitters?
Oh yeah.
See, that's all you needed to say. And so that I could say, I feel like if you drink caffeine and then go on a walk, then it kind of like you're getting the jitters
Exertion.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
So yeah, so I think it's good to have caffeine, go for a walk, and then like kind of keep re-upping like all day.
That's a great sound, by the way. Want to hear one?
What?
Have I done this for you?
Oh. The greasy, grimy gopher guts.
What? No. You're actually saying girl. But it sounds more like boy. It's weird, huh? Yeah, one of my favorites.
Wee, that thing.
What?
Because the sound that you're making actually, because it sounds like boy, it's a wee kind of a sound.
That it is.
Yaw.
Y'all.
Jar.
Oh, brings us to another topic.
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Second languages.
Of which I have none.
Wait, but you have some, right?
For a while, I spoke enough Spanish to be able to...
Buy a hooker?
No. I was going to say get
Because that's
through...
all you need to know. Where's the bathroom? Are you for sale?
Oh, we didn't finish the morning routine. I just realized.
Sorry.
That's okay. So basically, I get up at 7, I evacuate, I feed the dogs, I drink my 3 drinks, and by that time it's 8, and then from 8 to 9, I go to the mall, do my laps, and then I come home, and then right at 9 is when I start doing tasks, and that's as far as I've gotten putting my day together.
Good job. I roll out of bed at the very last minute and take a shower, hop in my car, and arrive 2 minutes late for work. That's my morning routine.
So now what's this next topic we're on?
Second languages.
So there was a time when I spoke enough Spanish to
Buy a hooker.
no. Like ask for directions, order food.
That sounds like enough to get you. I'll drop it. I
was like, do you think this is like do you think what you're saying is funny? Is that why you keep doing it?
No, it's obnoxious.
I'm just kidding. So, but yeah, I went on a trip to Mexico when I was in high school, and I knew here. This is the highlight of the story, I guess, or I guess the final point. I knew enough Spanish to walk into a bar, see that a band was playing. I requested a Weezer song because I was super into them at the time, and they asked me if I knew how to play either the guitar part or the bass. I think it was the guitar first, and I said, yeah, I know, I could play it on guitar, and so I was conversational enough with my Spanish that they, I guess, trusted me to go up and play with them.
Wow, that's really cool.
And so after that, we started talking, and they're like, "Do you play guitar?" And I said, "I play a little guitar, but I'm mostly a bajo, player." And Tocaro bajo. And so we ended up jamming, and we talked, and it was like they knew just enough English, and I knew just enough Spanish that we could actually have a fluid exchange of ideas.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was.
Music is the universal language.
Yeah. I mean, an E minor is the same in every language.
But now, tell me what you know. I heard once, and I believe it to this day until somebody tells me it's wrong, that the pentatonic scale is used in cultures all over the world at all different eras. It's just something that humans seem to find with their ear. Like a pentatonic's very Asian, Celtic, African.
There's an amazing Bobby McFerrin TED segment where you know who Bobby McFerrin is.
No. I never know who you're talking about.
Bobby McFerrin is the I think he's the "Don't Worry, Be Happy" guy. Like, remember the Family Guy cutaway scene where he's like, "Oh, this would be cooler than the time I saw Bobby McFerrin fall down the stairs." And he falls down and goes, and Stewie's at the top of the stairs going, cool. So anyway, he's just like a vocal performer. Like he's sort of like a singer, but he doesn't really sing words all the time. Like there's a really, really cool concert of Chick Corea and Bobby McFerrin, and it's a duet. And like Bobby McFerrin is like sitting next to Chick Corea on like the piano bench and just like, doing stuff like that. And so at this TED thing, he says, "Okay, so imagine I'm jumping up and down on a piano key," and he goes, ba ba, and he says, "Sing it with me," and so everybody's going, ba ba, and then he jumps to the next one. And he goes, so ba ba. Ba, 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 ba. And he said, "Now I'm going to jump to the third note in the pentatonic scale." And he said, "I want you all to sing it out loud." He goes, and everybody just like sang it.
Uh-huh.
And so that was illustrating the point that you were just making about the pentatonic scale.
Yeah, it's something like in us.
Well, yeah, and it's funny because I feel like most guitar players and bass players and people who can like play at a really early age, they shun the pentatonic scale because it's like, that becomes sort of like the nomenclature of the person who doesn't really know what they're doing. Like, oh, just tell me what the root is and I'll play the pentatonic scale, stuff like that.
That was one of the first things I was taught.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, on guitar,
mm-hmm.
I didn't learn much about the pentatonic when looking back on it, my music teacher did not do me many favors.
Well,
but I didn't really know what the pentatonic was until I started playing guitar. And that was one of the first things that they taught us was.
See, I was my snob out. The thing that I snobbed out on whenever anybody was like, "Oh, I just play the pentatonic scale," I was all about the modes back then, like the church, like the Ionian, Dorian, and I thought that playing within those modes was so much more sophisticated than playing the pentatonic scale. And now I'm just sort of at a point where it doesn't really matter.
I've noticed most
the
wind
only
chimes,
things that really
most wind chimes are pentatonic.
Yeah, my folks have a pair of wind chimes that actually have the scale.
Oh, really?
The scale that each thing is like written on a staff on the knocker part.
The anatomy of a wind chime.
The knocker part.
You got the knocker.
But yeah, so what I was saying was, while I was trying to get away from the pentatonic when I was younger, I've really not really embraced just the pentatonic, but I've embraced the universality of it. Where it's like if you wanted to like play a racist Asian thing, it would be the pentatonic scale.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to play a rockin' an American rock and roll lead, it's an inversion of the pentatonic.
Yeah.
And what's another one? I think like Russian balalaika music has a lot of pentatonics in it too.
Russian?
Like Russian balalaika, like dun 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 dun.
Oh.
Yeah. The hey.
Yeah.
Even though what I just sang was not, strictly pentatonic.
I think that's very Celtic. Like,
Yeah.
oh god, I could just like if Celtic music were a blanket, I could just wrap myself up in it.
Yeah, and it's the same. Like you can take an Asian person and a Irish person and put them next to each other.
But the hammered dulcimer also have origins in Ireland and in China.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know where it came from first.
Oh, they don't?
Last I heard, they didn't.
Right on. That's cool. You ever listen to Jamie Janover?
No.
So Jamie Janover is a musician who lives in Boulder, but he's like national. And he was in this band Zilla with Michael Travis from the String Cheese Incident and Aaron Holstein from the Glitch Mob and Vibe Squad and stuff like that. And I don't know if he still is, but for a while he held the record. He was like the official world champion hammer dulcimer player or something like that. And
it's quite the title.
Right, and so he would play the hammer dulcimer in the context of some really, really cool music. Like Zilla was like an all improvised, like, I don't think they were trying to aim for techno specifically, but more of just like a dance, like drone kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And so
I can see where the dulcimer would be like totally appropriate.
Yeah, I'll show you some when we get done doing this, but it's sort of like there'll be like on the drums, heavy bass, and it's like bing bing, just stuff like that. And what's cool is he would play a little mini drum kit, so it'd be like ding ding,
oh yeah,
ding 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 ding.
I restrung a hammer dulcimer once.
I bet that was shitty.
It took forever.
Was it 2 strings per note or 3?
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adderall. Needed Adderall. But it sounded fantastic.
I love that Hannibal Buress where he's like, I'm lazy as hell. Like, I'll take an Adderall to clean my apartment.
Right.
Yeah. So hammer dulcimer. Where are we at topic wise?
We've got second language. We're on second language.
Yeah, that's
Ich sprechen ein bisschen Deutsch.
Oh, you speak Dutch? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Z German.
I like there's this like horseradish sauce called Ingelhofer.
Uh-huh.
And I just like to run around the house like, yeah, ich hasse Ingelhofer, yeah.
The voice that you just made made me think of on Hollywood Babylon. They've got a segment called The Germans. And the idea is, I showed that to you, didn't I?
Yeah.
Where their characters that they're playing is they're Germans, not Nazis, but they are Nazis, and so they're trying to convince, hi, Ned. Ned's doing his trick. But they're like, yeah, we're not Nazis. And the other one goes, that's right. I mean, right, we're not Nazis.
So, I barely understand it.
But you can speak
But
it.
I can speak it. And I was talking to a gal whose husband was stationed in Germany. I was like, it's a little weird because the drunker I get, the easier it is for me to understand and speak.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, no, that's real. Me too. And I was like, really? Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't know a lot, but enough to like read it and write it poorly.
If I were to pick a language to become proficient at, it would probably either be Italian or I'd just like lock Spanish in.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they say that those are the two of the easiest languages to learn because there's lots of phonetics. Like Spanish is completely phonetic. Did you know that?
I did not.
There's very few instances in Spanish where like we have a lot of like ch, when you see just like one letter, all of a sudden in this word it's a ch for some reason.
Right.
Spanish is all like you read it like you see it on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I could probably pick up a Spanish book and read it pretty well. Like I can read it, but I don't understand. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I could speak it and it would probably sound okay. Like that's like the Tom Segura stand up and he's like, I don't know if you've noticed, but I speak Spanish fantastically. You don't.
Right.
When he went into a backstory about how he was raised in a multilingual household. And so he was like, yeah, I speak Spanish. You people with your yo tango, you're not speaking Spanish, But yeah, I wouldn't mind learning Italian because I'm Italian, and I just think
That's the whole reason I learned German. Spanish is way more practical in America.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. Oh, my class was awful. The kids who picked German are
they want to hurt little animals. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there's a lot of goths in the German class, dude.
I love Rammstein. I just want to know what he's singing about.
Right. Du hast mir gefragt? You have me questioning myself? Yeah. Ja.
Ja.
Our teacher.
Du hast mich.
Our teacher had like cried in front of the class because we wouldn't settle down. It was bad. It was bad.
That's like Z Dangerous Minds.
Kampf. Like Mein Kampf.
Right.
Right.
So is Kampf dangerous? Is that
No, it's
like,
head.
Oh, Kampf is
That's
head.
your head. Yeah.
All this time, I knew a girl at the conservatory when I was younger named Lauren Kampf. Not once did I seize that golden opportunity.
Oh, fuck.
Her last name is Martinez now.
Damn
she
it.
got married. But I wonder if she kept her middle name or switched her last name. Zappa, go lay down. I wonder if she kept her last name so it would be like Lauren Kampf Martinez.
Mm.
Head Martinez. She's the head Martinez in charge.
There you go.
No, she's great. She's on Facebook doing health stuff.
Nice.
Like she tells you, like if you subscribe to her channel or whatever, Zappa, go lay down. She tells you like what to drink if you're fat.
Oh.
Anyway, so go check out Lauren Kampf Martinez's health tips on Facebook. All right, what do we got?
Reading on the toilet.
I earlier today I busted through the first chapter of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Is that where she winds up on shore?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So the first chapter is her falling down the rabbit hole and shrinking, eating the cake, but not having grown yet.
Okay.
So the first chapter I think is called Down the Rabbit Hole, and the second one is the Flood of Tears, and that's when. So what's going to happen is she gets taller and she starts crying, and somehow she like floats away. That was one of my favorite parts of the book. Is it never really talks about the physics of how she went from crying from being a giant and then like getting carried away. It's like she cried so much that it became an ocean. You know what I mean? And it's just like your brain literally has to like readjust
Yeah.
to the fact that she was just in a hallway with like a bunch of doors and chandeliers, and then it goes. I think the sentence is, she cried so much that she was suddenly surrounded in an ocean of tears.
I hate it when that happens.
So, so what happened? Like, did she cry so much that it flooded the whole reality as she knew it, and she was just sort of still giant and floating at the. Well, no, that wouldn't make sense, because when she meets up with the rabbit later, it's the same size as when she originally saw it.
Oh shit. I don't know, man.
But anywho, I've always enjoyed. This will be my third time rereading it, and the reason I'm rereading it is because the first time I read it was a checked out copy, and then I owned a copy and read it. Then I bought a copy and read it, but it was like a shitty little like 99-cent book.
Yeah.
And so last time I was at Barnes and Noble, they had those classics, like not the illustrated classics, but the just like all of the literary classics, and they're usually like $10, $14, something like, or $8 to $12, something like that.
Yeah.
These were all $5, so I just picked it up and threw it in the reading room, aka the loo, or the pissa.
I look at memes.
Well, one of the reasons why I'm picking up reading is so that I talk better on podcasts and stuff like that.
So I work at a call center.
What's that?
I said go work at a call center.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I don't want to do that.
You'd be so good at it.
So I'm trying to read to increase my just cognitive whatever the fuck, so that stuff like that doesn't.
Vernacular, blue, blue, blue.
Blibbity blue. But yeah, and then so if you read regularly and then you read out loud regularly, supposedly you tend to say and like less.
Like
like that. So what's currently in your reading room?
Memes?
Oh, that's why I brought that up. So the other thing I read is that if you read books more often, whether it be fiction or instructional type stuff, self-help, anything like that, you're satisfying your reading, and so you don't feel like you need to look at social media as much.
Oh, well, memes and social media are two different. I'm kidding.
Right.
I'm kidding.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. No, I think I told you I had a really bad experience with the book, and I just cannot finish a book since.
Oh, the one you showed me at Entertain Mark?
Yeah, Mist of
her work was
Babylon.
done.
And her work was done. That is the end. That is the last sentence of a 3-part series, The Mist of Babylon. Her work here was done.
And it doesn't tell you what her work was or anything?
Well,
is it detailed throughout the course of the books?
Yeah. Pretty much, she's trying to save magic. She's trying to preserve magic and womanhood and blah, blah, blah. And, Christianity is coming and it's killing and suppressing women. But then she realizes at the end of the book that these Christians worship the Virgin Mary. And maybe this is the goddess. This is the Lady of the Lake, the new version. And her work here was done. And I was just like, no.
So she literally, she has a second thought and the series comes to an end?
Pretty much.
Oh, that's painful.
It was. I just sat there and looked at that last sentence, read it over and over, and I just haven't finished a book. I've started some really great books since, and I just haven't finished it in fear of it just not ending.
So I've always liked the idea of getting involved with a saga, like a really long, windy, I guess Pierce Anthony would be a good example. Like he does those fantasy books,
Mm-hmm.
and so I really was romanced into the idea of like, oh, I'm gonna read this 14-book long epic kind of thing. And so with that in mind, I remembered having fun reading one of the Dragonlance books when I was younger, but it was out of context,
Mm-hmm.
or it was you could enjoy it as its own book, but you could also read it in the context of this saga. And so I bought book one a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start this shit from the beginning, read it through, and I'm gonna be a more enriched person for having added another like saga into my brain that I can remember and stuff like that.
And how's it going?
I couldn't make it through the first chapter. I was like,
Was it just dry?
it was a lot of like, yeah, they're it starts with a girl in a tavern, and it's like taking you through her work routine, and I'm just like, Jesus, this is like I guess I needed like a dragon right off the bat or something, you know.
Right.
But it doesn't, like, I feel like that's where the whole quest is going to begin, is in this tavern, but like I just can't, like, I don't know. I feel like J.R.R. Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien is like the master of presenting you with information and making it engaging for some reason.
Right.
Like you read the beginning of The Hobbit again, and it's kind of like a history textbook, but for some reason you're like, yeah, totally, I'm into this. You know?
Right.
Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No.
It basically goes through like all the families of hobbits that live in the Shire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like the Bagginses had this kind of a demeanor. That's that stuff, and it was interesting. But this lady going through her routine, I just was having a hard time being like, oh, geez, like, and all they needed to do was like include a crystal or a sword, like,
Right.
and it's like,
Just spice it up a little.
and all the while the crystal kept catching her eye or something like that.
Right.
Are you reading anything else other than memes, or do you have a desire to read a long epic of any shape or form?
Well, okay, so I've been reading this book, The Child Thief. Have I told you about it? It's a Peter Pan.
You've mentioned
Yeah.
mentioned it, yeah.
So halfway through that, it hasn't been disappointing. I look forward to finishing it someday.
The Child Thief.
The
So
Child
it's kind of like another way of looking at Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Is it another one of those like, we're gonna take something from your childhood and make it dark and gritty?
No, and actually, you know what? They have Mists of Avalon in. They have like the Arthurian
Oh, okay.
legend in this Peter Pan.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that really like excited me. I didn't expect that until I got into the book, and I was like, oh my god, there's a Lady of the Lake, there's an Excalibur, there's the horned one.
So it's written within the universe that was set up by the Merlin stories.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, and
That's
his
interesting.
Neverland is an island that disappeared along with the Mists of Avalon, and he lives on that island with.
Real quick, was the Mists of Avalon, is that based in true history, or is that all fiction?
I think it's all fiction.
Okay.
Was there a real King Arthur?
So here's my next question.
Huh.
Is something like that copyrightable? Like, does this person have to seek out the rights to write
to talk about the Mists of Avalon?
Yeah.
No.
No?
No, it's kind of like if you were to write a story about Zeus. It's all mythology.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
it's kind of like out there for grabs.
Okay, so like, if I wanted my like main character to bump into Gilgamesh or something like that, it's like so old and part of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's something a little older and more like sacredly ritualistic than just like the copyright right now. Like you can go anywhere and perform Beethoven because the copyright's right now.
Yeah.
But you couldn't like dive into the universe of Beethoven and like play around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, I guess you could. I guess the equivalent of that would be to like write a series of theme and variations of like a Beethoven theme that already exists.
Yeah, I'm sure that's been done before.
Oh, I mean, of course it has. But I guess what I'm saying is like, could you write something that exists in the Game of Thrones universe?
Like fan fiction?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is the book that you're reading like sanctioned fan fiction, or are they just allowed to do that?
You're allowed to do that.
So, would you be allowed to do that, say, like, in... See, I don't know anything about Game of Thrones. So, would you be able to write a story taking place in the Game of Thrones universe?
I don't see... Why not? I would be surprised if someone hasn't already.
So, yeah, I guess that's what I'm curious about is where's the line between, like, fan fiction and something being so
I think it's like
the
a
lore for so
cite
long.
your sources kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, my friend Callie, her sister wrote a Twilight fan fiction. It was actually really successful, and she spoke at Comic-Con and everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, she would know. I don't know if she did it.
Oh, maybe
but I know it could be done.
Maybe she'd be a worthwhile interviewee.
Yeah.
I
hit Callie up. She recently had twins.
Right on.
So I sent her a meme of Twinkies, like two twins. And I was like, this is what happens when you show your ding dong to a ho-ho.
Did you know that Twilight was 50 Shades of Grey was a Twilight fan fiction?
I did not know that. I am not surprised.
So 50 Shades of Grey originally appeared online as a Twilight fan fiction, and it was the lead lady and Edward. So, like, whenever you're watching these Grey movies or reading the Grey books, you gotta imagine that this, like, sexually sadistic man is a sparkly vampire.
Oh.
Oh.
None of that really appealed to me. I didn't like the movie. I didn't read the books. I watched the first movie and I was like, this is bullshit.
The Twilight or the 50 Shades of Grey?
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. Somebody just said, like, somebody said, imagine if the roles were reversed. Would it play out as,
oh my God,
as a
that
sexual
would be a horror film.
Right.
It would go from romantic, crazy to psychological thriller.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that we've talked for quite a lengthy amount of time.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and wrap this? Did we hit all our topics?
Really, we're Sonic. We're going to Sonic for
lunch after this.
Yeah, that was the topic.
All right, good job nailing that last topic. All right, how are we signing off for this bitch?
Signing off, bitches.
Signing off, bitch.
I don't know.
FFP. Four Finger Podcast.
Oh, go get yourself a hooker.
I like that. Go get yourself. All right, signing off for the Four Finger. Four Finger. See, I think there should be the in there.
No.
No. All right, so I want to watch you sign off.
No, I want to tell you to sign off. All right, thanks for tuning in to the Four Finger Podcast.
So you just did the.
Oh fuck. Okay, the stays.
All right, we've got some editing to do on Facebook or on YouTube, and by the time we're done recording this, our first video should be uploaded. So go check it out, people living in the past. Sign us off, Babs.
Thank you for tuning in to Four Finger Podcast.
I'm Chuckles.
I'm Babs.
Go get yourself a hooker. And then the graphic will come up again right there.